The story of the monkey and the crab. Once upon a time, Mrs. Crab was looking for food along a river when she found a rice ball. Wow! It's a rice ball! Mrs. Crab was overjoyed with what she found when along came a monkey. The monkey was also looking for food, but had only found a persimmon seed. The monkey, who was very hungry, was jealous of Mrs. Crab.
Mrs. Crab, Mrs. Crab, let's exchange that rice ball for these persimmon seeds. The rice ball will be gone once you eat it. But with these persimmon seeds, you will be able to eat lots of persimmons.
That sounds like a good idea. So let's exchange the seeds for this rice ball. The monkey immediately ate up the rice ball. Once Mrs. Crab got home, she planted the seed in her garden. She flowered the persimmon seed, singing, "Persimmon seed, persimmon seed, produce a sprout and grow big and fruitful. Otherwise, I'll cut your stem with my scissors so you won't grow." And before long, a persimmon sprout started to grow from the ground, as it didn't want to be cut off. On the next day, Mrs. Crab watered the sprout and sang to it some more. "Persimmon bud, grow up quickly. Otherwise, I'll cut your stem with my scissors so you won't grow." The next day and the day after, Mrs. Crab sang as she watered the plant. The sprout grew quickly and became a large tree with leaves and later flowers. "Oh, persimmon flower, produce many persimmons. Otherwise, I'll cut you down with my scissors." The flowers started to change into round fruit, and while they were at first green, they quickly became red. The persimmon tree began to produce plenty of delicious-looking fruit. Mrs. Crab reached out to a persimmon, but sadly, she couldn't reach the persimmon. She tried to climb the tree, but soon fell off. There is no way she can eat the persimmon. Mrs. Crab did not know what to do. Just then, the monkey came along.
Oh ho! Delicious-looking persimmon, aren't they? I didn't know the tree would bear so many fruit.
The monkey was very, very jealous, and he said to her,
"I'll climb the tree and get the persimmon for you."
"That's very kind of you. Please, climb the tree for me." And saying this, the monkey climbed the persimmon tree easily and began to eat the juicy red persimmon fruit.
This is delicious.
Mrs. Crab waited under the tree, but the monkey kept eating fruit all by himself.
Mr. Monkey, hurry, give me a persimmon.
The monkey intends to eat all the persimmon himself.
Oh, shut up.
And the monkey threw a green and hard persimmon at Mrs. Crab.
Ah!
A crack appeared in Mrs. Crab's shell, and she fainted. Just then, many babies were born from Mrs. Crab's belly. They saw their mother lying there and were very worried. They carried Mrs. Crab on their backs and took her home. In the meantime, the monkey had plucked all the persimmon and put them in a basket and went home. The next day, the bee, who was a great friend of Mrs. Crab, came to her house. "Hello, Mrs. Crab. I've come to visit you." There is no answer from inside the house. All that the bee can hear are crying voices. When the worried bee peeked in the door, he saw the badly injured Mrs. Crab in bed. The baby crabs were crying around her. The surprised bee came into the house.
Whatever has happened?
Mrs. Crab told the bee what had happened on the previous day. When he heard the story, the bee became very angry.
That monkey! What a terrible thing to do! We must punish him.
The bee flew to the monkey's house. The baby crabs followed. As the baby crabs walked in line, a chestnut came walking from the opposite direction.
Hello, where are you all going together?
The bee told the chestnut the story.
What a terrible thing! Poor Mrs. Crab! I'll go with you to punish the monkey.
The chestnut joined the group and started off for the monkey's house. Just then, a large mortar came along. "Hi, where are you all going together?" The bee explained, and the large mortar became red with anger. "I'll lend you a hand. We'll all punish the monkey together." The mortar joined the parade. They kept on going and met a cow's dung.
Hi, where are you all going together?
When they explained, the cow's dung became very angry and joined the group.
Let me help too.
The group arrived at the monkey's house, but the monkey was not home. The bee, the chestnut, the mortar, the cow's dung, and the baby crabs discussed their plan. "Okay, you all go to your stations before the monkey gets back." The members of the team all hid at their stations. Sometime later, the monkey returned home not knowing what was going on. Inside the house, the monkey sat in front of the fireplace. When the firewood started to burn hot and red, the chestnut flew out of the ashes and hit the monkey's face.
Ouch! I'm burning!
The monkey could not stand the heat and the way it hurt. The monkey was burned badly by the flying red-hot chestnut. So he hurried to the water pot to cool his burn with water. He took the dipper to take some water when, just then, prick! The bee, who had been hiding in the back of the lid, stung just above the eyes of the monkey.
Ouch!
The monkey ran outside in pain. But the cow's dung was just outside the door. The monkey slipped in the dung and fell down face first. Bang! The mortar, who was waiting on the roof, came falling on the monkey, who was on the ground, with a thump. The monkey lay there not knowing what hit him when his whole body started to hurt. The baby crabs jabbed all over the monkey's body with their tiny scissors.
Take this for mother! You are...
The mortar, who was still on the monkey's back, said to the monkey, "Think what a horrible thing you have done to Mrs. Crab."
Forgive me.
The bee came to the monkey and said,
Do you swear you will never be bad again? I swear.
The monkey went to visit Mrs. Crab, guarded by the bees and the others.
Mrs. Crab, forgive me.
Since the monkey apologized, Mrs. Crab forgave him. She said thank you to the bee, the chestnut, the mortar, and the cow's dung.
Thank you, everyone.
After a while, Mrs. Crab became healthy again. The baby crabs were overjoyed. Sometime later, the persimmon tree again began to bear fruit. This time, Mrs. Crab and the monkey cooperated to gather the fruit and shared it with all the others. The end.